Imagine gazing into the mirror and seeing a woman who no longer asks for permission, who does not explain her choices, who does not chase after anyone. A woman who has decided, each and every day, to make herself the priority, who no longer waits to be chosen because she chooses herself. And what if the very foundation of this transformation is the image you present to the world? I know the thought that arises. That looks are superficial. But consider this. That belief could be the very cage preventing you from becoming your truest self. Each time you neglect your appearance, you whisper to your soul, I am not worthy of being seen. Carl Jung, a foundational voice in psychology, taught that what you reject in yourself becomes your shadow. When you dismiss your femininity, your beauty, your radiant presence, you do not liberate yourself. You turn down your own light. You surrender your power without even a fight. You were taught that to be groomed, to be sensual, to be elegant was trivial. You were told that strength meant enduring, sacrificing, holding yourself back. You were made to believe that vanity is a weakness. But what if the truth is the complete opposite? What if genuine strength is the daily choice to care for yourself, especially when no one is watching? What if brushing your hair, dressing with purpose, meeting your own gaze with respect, is a quiet revolution, a rebellion against every force that ever tried to render you invisible? In this journey, you will discover why an obsession with your image is not vanity. It is a silent form of power, a psychological strategy to return to your center. It is how you rebuild yourself, piece by piece from the outside in. You will learn how your own reflection can become your strongest ally. And you will understand why a woman who reconstructs herself through her image becomes truly unstoppable. You have heard it countless times. Caring for your appearance is shallow. That if you care about how you look, you must be insecure. That intelligent women do not wear makeup. That real beauty is only within. So you learn to feel guilt with every act of self-care. But here is a truth seldom shared. Beauty is not mere appearance. It is energy made visible. It is psychological order seen. It is not the makeup. It is the intention behind it. It is not vanity. It is direction. When you dress with care, when you select your lipstick or style your hair, you are not performing for an audience. You are communicating with your deepest self. You are remembering who you are, affirming your control, sending yourself a message. Every intentional detail becomes a statement. I matter. I deserve. I decide. Those who called this shallow were afraid. Afraid of a woman who knows herself. Afraid of a woman who approves of herself. Because a woman who likes herself does not accept less. She cannot be placated with crumbs. She cannot be so easily swayed. And she no longer requires validation from any outside gaze. You are not born to hide. Your femininity is not a flaw to correct. It is a resource to empower. Your appearance is not a problem. It is a profound possibility. A potent language that speaks before you utter a single word. You do not need to justify your desire to feel beautiful. You are not diminishing your intellect. You are restoring value to your very presence. When you cease being afraid of being seen, you become dangerously authentic. For the woman who shows herself fully is the woman who has stopped asking for permission to exist. Carl Jung gave us the powerful concept of the shadow. Everything you reject in yourself, your emotions, your desires, parts of your character, does not vanish. It retreats into the unconscious, and from that hidden place, it influences you. And one of the most common shadows for a woman is her repressed femininity. The part that was mocked, criticized, or devalued, and so was forced into hiding. You learn not to be too much, too beautiful, too sensual, too sure. You learn to dim your light for acceptance. You pretended not to care about your looks to avoid seeming shallow. You surrendered your radiance to make others comfortable. You held back your beauty to not disturb. You suppressed your presence to appear modest. But each time you deny that part, you do not erase it. You turn into shadow, and the shadow emerges as insecurity, self-criticism, anxiety, and comparison. When a woman disconnects from her image, she loses a vital force. a force unrelated to others' approval. It is pure, internal silent power. It is the energy that allows you to enter a room and change its atmosphere without speaking. Reconnecting with your image is not about obsession with others' opinions. It is about integration. It is about ending the division between who you are and who you show. It is about releasing the shame attached to your own radiance. Jung said, "Become who you are." You cannot become who you are if a part of you is hidden by shame. Your image is not a mask. It is a bridge. It is how your soul becomes visible. One of the most underrated tools for growth is the power of daily ritual. You do not need a grand event to change your life. True transformation often begins quietly, as you fix your hair, choose an outfit with intention, or look in the mirror and affirm, "I am worthy." Caring for your appearance is not a vain pastime. It is a psychological ritual of internal reorganization. It is a form of presence, a sacred act that roots you in the here and now. Every act of self-care, washing your face, selecting your clothes, adjusting your posture, sends a clear message to your mind. I am creating order. I am creating direction. And the psyche responds. As Jung noted, the mind reacts to symbols, and your appearance is one of your most powerful symbols. When you see yourself neglected, you feel lost. When you see yourself centered, you remember your essence. The way you present yourself becomes a declaration before you speak. Every detail states, I am awake. I am aware. I am present. When you begin to treat yourself with value, the world mirrors it back. Your relationships shift. Conversations grow more respectful. Opportunities seem to gravitate toward those who radiate self-awareness. This is not magic. It is energetic coherence. When you move with intention, you send a clear signal. I know who I am. This is not about aesthetics. It is emotional discipline. A woman who dedicates time to her appearance each day is not seeking attention, but anchoring herself, particularly when outer chaos reigns. The makeup may fade. The hairstyle may loosen. But the internal feeling cultivated when you have chosen and cared for yourself, that remains. And that is what saves you. The ritual becomes a silent declaration of self-worth. You no longer scream to be seen. You no longer beg to be understood, because you're already connected to yourself. And a woman connected to herself is impossible to ignore. There's a precise moment when your rebirth begins, when you stop seeing the mirror as a critic and start seeing it as an ally. The mirror does not judge you. It reflects you. What you see is not merely a face or a body. It is the outward expression of your inner state. The reflection does not lie. It shows you exactly where you stand, with no filters or excuses. Have you wondered why, when you feel lost, your appearance seems to suffer too? It is no coincidence. The outside and inside are in constant dialogue. They influence each other every moment. When you neglect your exterior, something inside becomes disordered. You feel out of sync. But when you begin to rebuild yourself externally, your mind takes notice. It follows. It realigns. It starts to believe in you. Your reflection becomes a guide, an emotional thermometer, a silent indicator of how much you are choosing yourself or abandoning yourself. The more you learn to treat that image with kindness, the more you learn inner respect. This is not about beauty. It is about identity. It is inner coherence made visible. It is a form of daily truth. Every time you look at yourself with love, you write a powerful message into your psyche. This is me, and I am worthy. That message, repeated daily, reshapes how you think, choose, and live. Many women wait to feel better before they start caring for themselves. But often, it works the other way. Start caring for yourself, and you will begin to feel better. Action precedes emotion. The act of self-care triggers the feeling of self-worth. The mirror is not your enemy. It is a tool, an ally in your evolution. Looking into your own eyes each morning with gentleness is a revolutionary act. Because while the world tells you power is external, you discover it begins within your own gaze. And a woman who looks at herself with respect moves through the world with a force that needs no explanation. When everything seems to collapse, the first instinct is often chaos. You search for answers, rush to explain, feel compelled to argue just to feel visible. But there is another way, a response that comes not from the wound, but from strength. A different method of assertion, without noise. A woman who has cultivated her image with discipline does not merely react. She responds. She does not fall apart. She regathers herself, because she has built an inner anchor. Instead of arguing, she reorganizes. She adjusts her posture, restructures her day, chooses an outfit that reaffirms her power. She returns to her center through small gestures that speak louder than words. That simple action destabilizes those who assume power over her. Everyone expects drama, but she offers silence. Everyone expects fragility, but she demonstrates order. Everyone expects a reaction, but she becomes unshakable. In such moments, you do not need words. You need profound presence. That elegance which does not scream, but affirms. Which does not persuade, but commands respect. Have you ever responded with self-care instead of anger? Have you ever chosen to tend to yourself instead of chasing someone who hurt you? Have you ever decided your time is worth more than an explanation? This is the invisible power of image. It is not for others to see. It is to remind you who you are, especially when the world tries to make you forget. And when you remember who you are, no one can push you from your center, because your response is no longer reactive. It is regal, and in that inner kingdom, you alone rule. There is an effect few comprehend. When a woman begins to rebuild herself through her image, the people around her are compelled to change their behavior. When you no longer react the same way, when you stop pleading for attention, when you cease over-explaining, you shift the entire emotional dynamic. You reclaim the power others held over your emotions. You disarm them. You unsettle them. At first, they're confused. They expected the former version of you, the one who explains, apologizes, bends, who compromises to avoid loss. Instead, they find a new woman, composed, clear, unavailable for their games. This creates deep psychological disorientation. The energy shifts, and those who tried to control you lose their grip. Why? Because their old tactics no longer work. You have leveled up. A woman who invests in her image with intention sends a clear message. I do not have time to waste. I do not settle for crumbs. I am my own priority. That energy is immensely powerful because it is not aggressive. It is unstoppable. It is not loud, but it demands respect. It is a presence that speaks without words. Every time you choose yourself instead of chasing another, you raise your value. Every time you dress to feel strong, not to please, you assert independence. Every time you rebuild yourself in silence, the other person is forced to take notice. And when they see you but cannot own you, when they observe you but cannot control you, they must reevaluate everything. That is true psychological power, not control over others, but freedom from every attempt to control you. It is that freedom that makes your power undeniable. The most powerful transformation is not the loud one. It is the silent one, the one that does not ask for approval, seek applause, or need to be seen in order to exist. A woman who is rebuilding herself does not announce it. She embodies it. Her energy changes before her words do. Those who meet her feel it, a new intensity, a calm that is somehow stirring. There is something deeply unsettling about a woman who seeks growth, not revenge, who seeks direction, not explanations, who does not remain in pain but chooses her rebirth day after day. Rebirth is not a performance. It is a daily decision. It is dressing well even when alone. It is bringing order to your home as you bring order within yourself. It is stopping the wait for external recognition and starting to live your worth. The world notices. Those who took you for granted begin to sense something different, a new autonomy, a light that cannot be dimmed. A woman who does not chase because she has learned how to stay, loyal to herself even when the world walks away. Those who try to hurt you will not know how to act, for they no longer find a fragile version of you. They find presence. They find elegance. They find a strength that needs no explanation, a presence that commands respect without asking for anything. True rebirth is not about changing how others see you. It is about changing what you believe about yourself. And when you change inside, everything outside must realign. A woman who rebuilds herself in silence never returns to who she was. She becomes a new version, stronger, more selective, more free. If you have listened this far, you understand this was never just about appearance. It was about identity, about choosing yourself, about ending the habit of asking for space and beginning to own it. They taught you to make yourself small, to hide for acceptance, to ask for permission just to exist. But the truth is, you do not need to change to be loved. You need to love yourself enough to stop accepting being ignored. Caring for your image is not an empty gesture. It is a political act, a moment of personal revolution, a declaration to the world. I exist. I choose. I matter. Every morning when you face the mirror, you are not merely adjusting a reflection. You are honoring a woman. You are building a version of yourself. You are sending a message before saying a word. It does not matter who disappointed you. It does not matter who failed to see you. What matters is what you choose to see today. When you look at yourself, if you choose presence over absence, care over chaos, authenticity over performance, you're already walking toward your most powerful form. A woman who builds herself every day becomes a force of nature, not because of how she looks, but because of what she radiates.